candidates first, please.
Okay, this question is from Concourse. Varsity is coming up. What would you do differently involving Varsity? And what do you think there are the main problems regarding Varsity? Any solution?
Jordan to answer first.
Hopefully this year, with the help of Staff Union, we're having live streams of some of the indoor games on the internet, which is different than what we've done before. So hopefully people that can't, people I don't understand why they want to go and watch anyway, if they can't, it's live streamed. I generally think the Varsity is running quite well in most of the years. I think it's brilliant that at the end of the day everyone gets to go to Newcastle Town and watch the football. And I think it's a day where no matter if you play sport, you don't play sport, you play whatever sport, everyone gets behind each other, and it's for Keele University. And I think that's what's important, that sport brings everyone together, no matter what race or ethnic group you come from, no matter what course you do, sport brings people together, and that's what Varsity is all about.
With regards to the general running of Varsity, it's a really good day. Everyone that does sport, any kind of sport, even if it's not on the Varsity programme, everyone goes down, and we get quite a few people that don't do sport as well. I think the big thing with Varsity has always been its publicity around campus. This year is going to be a much better year. We've got live streaming, we're trying to get Cube involved. The KPA funded for us to have the football filmed, recorded, live streamed, and all we've got to do is put their name on the programme. Publicity in sport, I think, is one of the things that's pretty lacking at Keele. Stuff like the Team Keele brand is a big thing over at the AU, but it hasn't spread across the rest of the uni yet, including other student groups like Concourse. They have got a sports editor, but I think that could be a lot bigger and a lot better, and involving other student groups like Snapshot with things like Varsity and other things like Wednesdays and everything. Sport should be inclusive, and I think that spreads from Varsity to all our sports events.
Another question from Concourse. It seems that the AU does not use any forms of communication such as Facebook, Concourse, etc. How do you plan to improve this shortcoming?
That's Rachel to answer first, please.
I'd have to say, on the face of it, you're right. We kind of communicate within ourselves. We use our emails, we email the clubs all the time. We talk to people as and when they come in the office, and we use Facebook a bit. This year, Adam's been doing really well of kind of putting up the fixtures every week, trying to get people involved. But like I just said, I'd love to have Concourse more involved with doing regular updates on the fixtures we've had and what's coming up, how well we're doing, where we're standing in the league table. We've got our constitutional review coming up, and one thing that I think quite a lot of us on the AU committee are quite keen to have is a media officer to really boost the publicity of Team Keele, to kind of get it more spread across campus, so even if people don't want to come across and compete in the sports, they can still support, whether that's just by kind of picking up a copy of Concourse or actually coming down and standing at the side of the pitch in the freezing cold, in the rain, clapping us on.
I think one of the things that's going to help promote sport a bit more this year and get out there to students is the fact that it is actually going to be under KUSU, and obviously the roles of the AU President and the Vice President going together is going to help that. Also, what we haven't done before and we'll be able to next year is have the freshers fair for the sports and the societies in the ballroom, obviously not at the same time because there's too many, but obviously hopefully one day, one the next day. I'd also want to set up as well is obviously everyone looks at their student emails every day, and there's one for the union updates or finding out about different things to do with lectures, this, that and the other. I want to get one set up for sport, so you'll get regular emails saying what's going on where. You've got the freshers down here. We want to get a taster day, which I would like to set up next year, which is what students have told me they'd like at the focus groups. Is basically one day you'll have the freshers day come and look at sports we've got, and then the next day you'll have like a taster day where you go to the sports centre, all different sports are playing on the fields in all different halls. You can come along and watch or bring your kit and join in, have them as in monthly, and hopefully let you know by email, basically.
Okay, another question to both candidates. How are you going to ensure the role focuses on sport for all and not just the athletic union?
Jordan, to answer first, please.
Bringing both the roles together is one step towards that. Obviously, I mention it every time, but I do generally think it's been a brilliant idea this year. Like I said, I'm going to try and put in more fun tournaments next year and advertise them as best I can. We obviously got into murals this year and hopefully try and bring them even more sports involved in that. Because at the end of the day, I generally think people want to enjoy playing sport and feel sometimes, yes, maybe it's our fault as well that the AU is competitive, which it is. But we are going to try and bring things in, have been trying to, with the Parasport days, the dodgeball tournaments that I've done this year, improve on that, do more fun tournaments. So people come to play sport for fun with your friends rather than having to compete. Whereas I do generally still think that the competitive sport at Keele does very well for a small uni and people do enjoy competing. But I do also think that a lot of people can, if they want to, and will be hopefully publicised more next year, play for fun.
A lot of things I've found, like the past week, go around talking to students, kind of explaining that now the AU is going to become like technically a department of KUSU. A lot of people have felt that if they don't compete in buck sports with the AU, then there's nothing sporty for them to do. And I think, again, it comes down to kind of a lack of publicity, a lack of getting it out there, that we've got our play sport representative who works really hard to kind of promote our intramural sports, get different tournaments on. He's always asking the students, what do you want to see next? The sports forums we've been having for the AU and the one on Thursday for non-competitive sport people is, again, it's a great way to see what people would actually like to see happen at Keele, and next year is all going to be about implementing that and making sure that KUSU and the AU work together now that they are, in essence, the same thing, in that the VP sport role and the AU president role has been combined. I just think kind of more and more events of what Abby's done this year, they went down really, really well, and the one thing I've found from talking to people is that they just want more of them, and that's exactly what I plan to do.
You both have current roles in the athletic union. What do you think is your biggest achievement been?
Rachel, to answer first, please.
I don't think I can really particularly answer that very straightforwardly. It might seem a bit of a cop-out, but most of the decisions we make over at the AU is a team effort for kind of thinking about what's going to be best. Kind of what's the biggest thing I've learned is kind of like getting the role is probably the best achievement of the year, but the biggest thing I've learned is kind of all the admin skills, learning how to get the balance between putting all those different sports fixtures on at the same time, learning kind of like what is needed to run a massive sports tournament like Varsity or a big event such as like the AU Balls. It's all skills that are going to carry over, and just keep it short. I just hope to go on to bigger and better things and have more of the same next year.
I think one of the best achievements I've had was doing this last year for my part-time role and getting it. Yes, running against nobody, but still, I did try my hardest campaigning and canvassing, and that was one of my best achievements. I also managed to get, I got down to the last 3 for Sportsman of the Year last year at the AU presentation board. Didn't quite get that. I've thoroughly enjoyed this year working with the AU, and obviously last year I was more one sport related because I was the team captain, whereas this year it's been brilliant being involved with all sports, and every week I'm ringing around asking everyone, what's your score, how did you win, what's the end result, and I think that's a big achievement. You know, every week this year we've been winning more and more games than we did last year, so that's awesome.
It's a bit of a long one, so listen carefully. Despite a clearly defined portfolios, all sabbaticals sometimes get landed with stuff that technically isn't in their job description. For example, how would you cope with a student telling you about a serious personal problem and asking you not to disclose it to anybody?
Jordan, to answer first, please.
Well, I'd like to say that I would be quite an approachable person, and obviously on the spot position you are caring for the students no matter what their problem is. If someone comes to you, it's not necessarily in your job title, you've still got to adapt to what the student wants, and if it's something that they want to sit down and talk to you about, then that's fine, you are able to do that, but obviously there's still things in place here, like we've got the nightlines to talk to, there's obviously the actual the welfare vice president himself, but if someone came to me asking for some help, then obviously I'd be there to help no matter what it's about. Obviously I care about the sports side, but at the end of the day it's on a spot position, you're representing students all round, not just in your chosen field, so I'd like to be approachable and hopefully anyone could come over and talk to me about anything.
If all I cared about was putting on sports events and running fixtures, there'd be absolutely no point in running for this role. As a SAB at KUSU, you're there pretty much all the time, in your office hours, on your nights out. People know who you are, they're going to come and talk to you. If someone comes to you with a serious problem, then that's in your job description too. You've got a specific role to do, but to my mind, that's just a part of it. I mean, we've got great services, we've got Nightline, we've got the counselling services, we've got the chaplaincy. But if someone uses you as their first point of contact, I think it's really important to kind of keep that relationship going, let them know you've got an open door policy. Like, you're there as a SAB to work for all the students, not just the ones that want to do sport.
That was the end of the questions for both candidates. Individual questions. Rachel, in your manifesto, you talk about trying to cut the cost of transport and to review it. As you've already been in the AU for a year and the petrol price is always rising, how do you think you can actually cut these costs?
Firstly, pretty good question. That's something we're always looking at. At the minute, half the AU budget goes on transport, and when people are sitting there saying, I want mirrors in the dance studio, we want public pitches, why can't we have it? It's because half our money is going on transport. And I realise that realistically, I might not be able to save us tens of thousands of pounds, but doing the transport every week, I've got a good relationship with the transport services we already use, but we've been using those transport companies for years and years and years. If it turns out that that's the best deal that we've got at the minute, then I'll try and negotiate a new one. If we have to just turn around and use a completely different company, that's what we do. I mean, this year we've managed to cut back a bit of money by actually making use of the KUSU safety buses. They sit there pretty much all day, every day, during the day. So every Wednesday we now hire them out in a block booking, which has actually saved us a considerable amount of money already. It's stuff like that, just looking at what's available to you and trying to cut costs without at all cutting kind of experience and what you need to do for your teams and people who want to do sport.
Any more questions for individual candidates? No, then thank you very much. And the final candidates, please.